Great. Okay, so hi everyone. So we'll be talking about contributing guidelines and code of conduct as tools for open collaboration. Um, yeah, before we get started, I have icebreaker for us. So if we could kindly go to the link in the framework pad or scan the QR code, that would be really nice. I think I can put that in the chat. Oops. Okay. Great. Thanks. Thanks. Cool. Thank you. People are able to see Slido. I'm trying to present my screen. Oh, great. We have 5 people already joined. Do more people want to join in before we move? Okay. We have 6 people now. Just need to keep it extra time. Okay. So these are really interesting. So so we have 95% of us say none of the above. Great. And some said README, some said code of conduct, and some said license. Oh, and we also have someone say something for contributing the guideline. Great. I hope we did not miss the question, like which of these can you skip and still call your project open? Right. So yeah, so these are really interesting answers. So I'm going to go back right now and share this. So yeah, from the results, it's really great to see that a lot of us actually understand that we would need a code of conduct, a README, a license. We've just heard from Precious about licenses and README, and also a contributing guideline to call our project open. There's so much more that is, involved in projects being open source or open science. But this set of documentations are really, really important. And so in 2017, I believe, GitHub carried out this survey and oh no, not this one. Oh, not this one. Okay. So this open source guide is from GitHub, and it pretty much was talking about like the documents you would need to launch your own open source project. I know I'm using open source, but we are all open scientists here. But I like the 4 key documents, which is the open source license, the README, and the contributing guidelines, and also a code of conduct. So today we'll be looking at 2 of these documents that has been highlighted here by GitHub. So yeah, who am I? Why should you really listen to me? I am project manager for Contributor Covenant by the Organization for Ethical Resource, and community manager and code of conduct committee lead at CHAOSS, and also EDI for RSC on defenses. So why are we discussing this? First of all, open projects don't thrive on their own. As a researcher or an open scientist, you want to encourage and guide new contributors or collaborators on how to use your project. You want to ensure that contributions meet your project standard. And you also want to set norms for how collaborators converse or behave with each other within your community or project, and overall define project culture. So as you can see on the right side of the screen, this is a illustration from the Turing Way, and it says there's more to collaboration. It's way beyond having different teams working on a particular project or having shared goals. You also need to look at things like how you treat each other, and also code of conduct, inclusive environment or workspace in this case, explicitly being open for contributions from others as well. Okay, great. So how do you build an open culture? I wanted to highlight this before we dive right into contributing guidelines and code of conduct. So first of all, building a great culture takes more than a vibe in an AI era where everything is all vibes now. Culture does not emerge by default. It's established by the norms you put in place even from day one, right? Open culture is what makes contribution feel possible before anyone dives deep into how your project works or what you do as a researcher, open scientist. From my experience, most maintainers or project leaders intend to welcome contributors, but the truth is that intention without structure doesn't quite land well. Because like a newcomer sure can't feel your goodwill, right? At least not just when they've arrived. They can only see what is written down and how you respond to people, how you treat people, and even if they're like people like them in the community as well, that gives them a sense of how they themselves will be treated in the long run. So what can you do really to build that open culture? There's so much you can do. But for the sake of this particular training, we are going to look at two things. So first, as a readable contributing guideline, then have a code of conduct with an enforcement ladder. It's just not enough to have a code of conduct, but you also have a way for you to enforce when there is a violation or a report from members or collaborators. Oh yeah, this is a good diagram. So there's this chart from a particular study I was looking at recently. It's very new, and it's a study that sort of like tells you how people approach projects. Like what do people look out for when choosing an open source project to collaborate on or to get involved with. And as we can see here, contributing guideline and code of conduct are on the list. They are way down below, or at least they're on the list, which is what really matters. So yeah, I wanted to highlight this, that these documents seem to be part of what people are looking at before they approach your project or want to get involved in contributing or collaborating on that particular projects. So now to contributing guidelines. This document defines the norms for which project or get involved, and why should you want structured contributions for people or potential contributors rather. You don't want a situation where people are sending in contributions that does not sort of match the expectations that you have for that particular project. So the guidelines sort of bridges that gap, and also to set clear expectation and reduce assumptions, because when people if you don't direct people on what to do, they do what they feel, and probably wasn't something you would want. Then lastly here is to reduce collaborator or contributor drop-off. This is also experience from open source projects and open science projects I've been involved with. When people don't see a structured way on how to get involved or how to be a part of a project or a community, they tend to drop off real quick. So the who, so project leaders, who are this document for? Project leaders, first of all, who's responsible for creating that document and also maintaining it is very important, because it's a dynamic document and not a static one, or shouldn't be a static one. Then also the contributors, people responsible for following the guidelines. And lastly, we have users and consumers, and these are people looking to study your project so they can remix or reuse it. So what does a good contributing guideline look like? So we're going to be looking at some examples. First of all is one from the Turing Way, and this guideline is very, very comprehensive. It has details about the project and also how to get in touch with maintainers or project leaders in that project, and even links to other things that potential contributors would find interesting to be able to effectively contribute back to the project or to the community. And of course, I have one from the SSI, and why it is said it is titled as Become a Contributor is served the same purpose, pretty much guiding people on how to get involved in the community. I think I was able to capture just 4 here, but it's also quite detailed, and also links to other pages where you get to learn more, and even how to contact the team. And there is even a separate guide for people looking to contribute content back to the institution. So it's really, really nice. So we also have one from OLS, and this one is on GitHub. So generally, when contributing guidelines are on GitHub, it is named as contributing.md. And this one is very, very comprehensive. I like the way there are links embedded that list people to learn more about what's been said here, and it's also very detailed. So these are all good examples of contributing guidelines in open science communities that you're already familiar with. And of course, if you wanted to create one using the markup language, just as Precious has taught us earlier, and you'll be able to create one yourself. But of course, you're not preaching starting afresh. There are a lot of templates out there that you can really copy from and make tweaks to and add to your own projects. And oh yes, there is the contributing.md generator. Found that as well. So you don't have to start from scratch. It is not it's not specific, right? You would have to make a lot of tweaks to it to fit your own community values and how you want people to get involved in your project. But it's a good way to get started. So now to Code of Conduct. So this governance document defines the norms for which collaborators should interact with others, so users, members, leaders, and contributors alike. Okay, am I moving too fast? Are people still following? Are there any questions so far? Sorry, should have checked in earlier.
What was that link for the creating your own contributing guidelines?
The contributing.md/generator. I am going to share that in the chats now. Oh, thanks, guys. You all are really fast. Okay. Any more questions about chats? Okay. Can I get a thumbs up if people want me to continue? Okay, great. Oh, awesome. Okay, so why is a code of conduct relevant? Yeah, I thought this particular slide is very, very important because as a member of a code of conduct committee myself, I've seen a lot of things in the ecosystem, And yeah, so first of all, code of conduct are a critical tool for facilitating healthy and constructive behavior in a diverse community, right? Nobody starts a project hoping that chaos will happen, but it does happen at some point or will happen at some point. And you really want to be ready for when that happens. Yeah. Then also collaborators get to see that your project has thought about power, accountability, and what happens when things go wrong. Personally, when I look out for projects to contribute to that, even as we can see on the chat earlier on, these are like documents people look out for before they start, you know, finding interest in that project or even thinking about contributing back to that project, right? And of course, like there are different factors that get people to contribute to projects. Some are purely personal, while some are maybe for career advancement or development. But of course, like these things are very, very key. Then also seriously help strengthen your project culture. If you do have one, definitely you want to keep that and keep the community safe for everyone involved. Then lastly here, reduces harassment, racism, hate speech, and much more. While you can't totally control this, and having a guide set in place for people to understand what accepted behaviors are allowed in the community or unaccepted behaviors really, really do help reduce this distance. Sorry now. Okay, great. So over the years, there has been pushback towards code of conduct in open source. Then there's this one where this beautiful human created a code of conduct.md document on GitHub, but then went ahead to link it to a no code of conduct document, and they were pretty much spreading the news of there shouldn't be code of conduct in communities, that we are all adults according to them. There have even been recent pushback from certain, respectful people in the space. But yeah, we won't be diving into that. If people are curious, you can check it out or take a peek. Yeah. So you might want to ask yourself, do you really need a code of conduct? Well, the simple answer is yes, you need one. With all that is happening in our world today, if you're still wondering why you would need one, why you should set norms for good or bad behaviors in your community and how you would handle harassments when one occur or violations when one occur, then, well, if you're looking for an answer, yes, it's a yes. So there are examples of code of conduct, and some have been highlighted here. There is one from the countries. There is also contributor covenant, which I was pretty much involved in. There's the Python Community Code of Conduct, the Jupyter Community Code of Conduct, then also the Django. The Django used to have one. They created themselves, and of course, inspiration from other code of conduct, but sometime last month they moved to contributor components, but I have highlighted it here because they have some language for event spaces. So if you do organize events, host spaces that bring people together, you definitely want to check that one out. But let me share the one from the carpentries so we'll see that if we haven't already. So I really like the language used in this one, and it's very detailed. It has processes for how people can report incident to the community moderators of the Code of Conduct Committee. Of course, also highlights unacceptable and accepted behaviors, and those consequences for unacceptable behaviors as well. Yeah, and of course the updates log. So this one is really good. Yeah, so this one is contributor covenants. This is the major rewrites. So many years. It's it was launched. And why I like this one so much is the characteristics. Like it covers, from ethnicity to race to gender identity, sexual orientation, and so much more. And of course, encourage behaviors, restricted behaviors, and how to report an issue. We also use the term addressing and repairing harm. And yeah, and what major were also like the language were used less US. The previous one used to be, but now we sought counsel from people across the globe to use more acceptable languages. Across the globe, really. Then also we moved from punitive enforcement to restorative justice. So that's yeah. Okay, so the next thing would be to okay, stop sharing the screen. Share the stuff instead. Okay, great. So now we've looked at examples of code of conduct that we have. And I wanted us to do a quick exercise, which is called the demo exercise. So I don't know how many of us who have seen the Star Trek, the Next Generation series. So there was this episode where two people speaking the same language and still not understanding each other, which is very interesting because, no, sorry, that was so fast. So there is an alien crew that speaks almost perfect English, but only in metaphors. So they say things like Damok and Chalad at Tanagra means two people who bonded facing a challenge together. The Enterprise crew understands each individual word, obviously, but understands nothing still. So the goal of this exercise is to I think we'll uncover the goal later on. But yeah, just COC and contributing guidelines can have the same problem. And I wanted us to try that out real quick. Okay, great. So the exercise is to think of a situation where someone new to an open project might feel confused, unwelcome, or unsure what to do. So you're going to describe it only with metaphor. You're going to write it somewhere, don't send it in yet. And I have one example here. So it could be knocking on your door without a knocker or even like a letterbox. And that is a metaphor. But what I meant in essence is, like in plain English rather would be wanting to contribute, but no contributing guide exists, or there is no obvious way to reach you as a project lead, or how people can ask first questions. So I'm going to leave my screen on, and I'm going to kindly ask that we all share, or rather, a few seconds for us to think about the metaphor we want to share. Then we are going to ask a few of us to try to guess what the person is trying to say, and if they understand what they're trying to say with the metaphor. So yeah. I mean, the point of the exercise was pretty much to help you understand that having jargons or quote unquote insider words in your code of conduct or contributing guideline does not really help at all. So plain language is an act of being welcoming, if you ask me. So when adopting a contributing.md file or a code of conduct governance doc, so you want to think about what words in a contributing guideline might feel obvious to you but confusing to someone new. Who in the community might be most affected by unclear language or excluded characteristics in your code. And lastly, what kind of culture do you want your project or community to have? So you have to set all of these things from day one before you start, before you go public. Yeah, so I hope that will be really helpful and useful. So these are the references and resources that last slide presented. And if you go to and the SSI, and also TIMID, robot is from the Organization for Ethical Source community, and really helped with reviewing this slide. And yeah, thank you to you for participating.